Am I the asshole for leaving my husband at the hospital after he refused to be in the delivery room with me? This happened 2 months ago, but it's still causing major friction in my family, so I need some outside opinions. I, 29 female, and my husband, Jake, 32 male, have been together for 6 years, married for 3. We were both ecstatic when we found out we were expecting our first child. Pregnancy was really tough for me, though. I had severe morning sickness, gestational diabetes, and was generally miserable. But Jake was supportive and sweet the whole way through, which made it bearable. As we got closer to my due date, we discussed birth plans. I was adamant that I wanted Jake in the delivery room. I needed his support, and he had always agreed. However, a few weeks before my due date, Jake started acting strange. He was distant, distracted, and wouldn't engage in any baby-related activities or discussions. I thought he was just anxious about becoming a dad, so I didn't press him too much. The day I went into labor, Jake drove me to the hospital, but seemed off. He was quiet and kept checking his phone. When we got there, he pulled the nurse aside and spoke to her privately. She came back and told me Jake wouldn't be in the delivery room because he was, quote, uncomfortable with blood and medical procedures. I was stunned. He had never mentioned this before. I begged him to stay, told him I needed him, but he just kept saying, quote, I can't do this. I was heartbroken and furious, but I didn't have too much time to dwell on it as my contractions were getting closer and stronger. Jake said he would be in the waiting room and kissed me on the forehead before leaving. I was left alone, crying and feeling utterly abandoned. Labor was long, painful, and traumatic. I was alone the entire time, except for the medical staff. When our son was finally born, I was exhausted, emotionally and physically. The nurse handed me my son, and all I felt was a deep sadness that Jake wasn't there to share in this moment. After I was taken to a recovery room, I asked the nurse to go get Jake. She came back and she said he had left the hospital hours ago.
Bro, no.
I couldn't believe it. I called him repeatedly, but he didn't answer.
That is wild.
Finally, I sent him a text saying I was done and he could find his own way home. I didn't see him until the next day. He showed up at the hospital with flowers and an apology, saying he had panicked and needed some air. He claimed he had gone home to shower and change and had fallen asleep, which I didn't buy for a second. I told him I didn't believe him. I was overwhelmed with anger and hurt, and I told him he had let me down in the worst way possible. He kept apologizing, saying he knew he'd messed up and he would do anything to make it right. I didn't want him near me or our son at that moment, so I asked him to leave. He tried to protest, but I told him I needed time to process everything. He left, and I spent the rest of my hospital stay alone with my baby, trying to grapple with the enormous